Hi there, welcome to the YouTube channel. Glad you're here. I'm glad you clicked on the link. So, deck tech time, and I'm still looking at some of the Lord of the Rings things. I've only got a couple more I want to cover. Today's one, and I'm going to drop some other things in this week. The decks I've built and I haven't really talked about, so I thought bit of fun, we'll cover them as well. But today's one, you all know what you're here for because you've already clicked on the title. It's Bilbo, Birthday Celebrant. White, black and green, so in Asban. And it's a 2/3 legendary halfling rogue. Yep, that seems like Bilbo from the books. And if you would gain life, you gain that much life +1. Yep, like that. And then 2 and the Asban colours of white, black and green. Exile Bilbo, Birthday Celebrant. Search your library for any number of creature cards. Put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Activate only if you have 111 life or more. I've got to say, with this card, I love the fact that they've picked up on the 111 life. Because, as you know, Lord of the Rings book starts with the birthday party for Bilbo when he's turning 111. And I just love the fact that Wizards have gone down the road, have actually taken that into consideration with this card. So, that's the card. What does the deck look like? Well, it looks very much like this. As usual, start by going through the mana base and the ramp I've got in place. So, mana base, white, black and green lands all the way through. We have got Blossoming Sands and its 2 equivalent colours, Jungle Hollow and whatever the other one is, I can't remember now. Brain's gone dead. There is some Scarred Barrows. Just gain a little bit of life. Thought that would help, especially with Bilbo's out. That means they come into play, we gain 2 life. That's quite nice. 3 of each of the basics, and then the Triome, the Fabled Passage. I've included Field of the Dead. Yes, zombies being at a birthday party may seem a bit weird, but we're probably going to need them at some stage, so they're in. The rest of it is pretty much what you expect in the whole of the deck. I have avoided for once in my life Temple of the False God and the Wonderful World of Reliquary Tower. I was just checking to make sure I hadn't put it in before I said it, which I have. Just once. I didn't think they were necessary for this one. So, from there, the rest of the ramp, Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, and the talismans of each colour. That's what we've gone with. I think that's enough. The deck's pretty low on the mana curve. I mean, I'm still running 36 lands, but we are still pretty much towards the bottom of it. But what we're trying to do is get as many halflings in play as we can, make as much life as we can, and then either win with a little bit of halfling beatdown, or we'll just cheat it and use Approach of the Second Sun, as you can see. Because, this does gain life and it does help us get to 111. But so I've gone down kind of the Soul Sisters route package for this one today. So we've got a Ajani's Welcome, Cleric Class, Soul Warden, Soul's Attendant, Essence Warden in. They're the ones that I think we can all class as the Soul Sisters route. Sorry. And then we've got a little bit more ramps. We've got Birds of Paradise here and Gilded Goose. Gilded Goose, yes, it provides mana if we sack a food, but it's mainly here to create the food to help us get to our 111. Many Partings is in, which is really nice. We go and get a basic land card for 1 mana. Yes, it goes in our hand, not into play, but I can cope with that because it does leave us behind a food token. Again, it helps. Pippin's Bravery is just a way to punch through if we've got something big we need to deal with. We can sack a food and give something +4/+4, or maybe just +2/+2 if need be. But hopefully we have a food token lying around we can sacrifice to do the +4/+4. And then I figured Bilbo, if it wasn't for the ring, might be drinking an elixir to stay alive forever. So Elixir of Immortality is here. It also gives us a nice way to recycle everything back into our deck when it gets destroyed, blown up. Yes, there's no griffins in Lord of the Rings, but they're kind of like the eagles. Can we get just imaginary eagles? Could it be Eagle Airy, just so we could go there? But this one's nice. We'll probably be gaining more than 3 life each turn, so we do get some more blockers this way with some 2/2 white griffins. Hobbit stings in just for a little bit of removal because of the food and the creatures we'll have in play. Farseek goes and gets us what we need. Usually, I'll be honest, I use Farseek to go and fetch the Triome. Meriadoc Brandybuck. Whenever one or more halflings you control attack a player, create a food token. So, if you attack each of your opponents, you get 3 food tokens, which can be useful. Mushroom Watchdogs, just sack a food, make it bigger. It gets vigilance, that's fine. Nice little beat stick or blocker. Prosperous half innkeeper. Yes, this is from Forgotten Realms, but it's still a halfling, so it still counts for this as far as I'm concerned. And another way of gaining some life. Rampant growth, fetch some land, basic land we're missing. Revive the Shire. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Create a food token. So gives you a way to get something back that's been killed off. 3 visits, just to go and get another forest out of our library or one of the dual lands that covers it. Trailer crumbs is quite nice. Comes into play, gives us a food. And they kind of look like hobbits in the picture, I think. I don't know. At least I think they do. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But when you sacrifice food, you may pay 1. You look at the top 2 cards of your library, reveal a permanent card, put it in our hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library. Seemed like a cunning plan in this deck. And then obviously we've got Frodo, adventurous hobbit, in, along with his partner Sam, loyal attendant, is also in the deck. We'll come to Sam in a minute. But when Frodo attacks, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, you get tempted by the ring, which is quite nice. Then if Frodo is your ring bearer and the ring has tempted you 2 or more times this game, draw a card. Yeah, okay then. Pippin, Warden of Isengard, makes an appearance in his sort of like advanced form, if we're going to go down that road. Just because he creates food and we can sacrifice the foods and basically do the whole overrun, semi-overrun. It's overrun +3/+3 and then the haste. There's no trample though, which is a little bit frustrating, but you know, we can cope with that. The other version of Frodo is here as well. We get tempted by the ring. As long as Frodo's your ring bearer, it must be blocked if able. You could probably drop this one out. The other one's probably a little bit better in this deck, but you know, we'll keep it here. Samwise Gamgee, more ways of creating food tokens. And then I figured there'd be some elves maybe kicking around at the birthday celebration. So Trelasar the Moon Dancer makes an appearance. Gaining the life, get the +1/+1 counters, and a bit of scrying. Hence why it's here. East Farthing Farmer, someone's got to provide the food for the birthday party. Heliod could be someone they pray to, and as we gain in the life, we can chuck some +1/+1 counters around. And Path of Bravery, because, you know, Frodo and Bilbo both went down a path, and they were quite brave in it. And it gains us some life, which is the main thing. Another way of getting to 111. Rosie Cotton of South Lane comes into play with a food token, and when you create a token, you can chuck a +1/+1 counter somewhere. Another way of building up your army. Second Breakfast, 2 target creatures get +2/+1 until the end of turn, and you get a food token. A nice little combat trick that people do forget about, and combat tricks are still relevant in Commander from my point of view. Bastion of Remembrance. There was gates they went to when they left the Shire. That's what I'm going with. And when a creature dies, obviously the opponent loses. Each opponent loses 1, we gain 1. Nice little way of making sure we get some more life that way. Rapturous Guest comes into play. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, get a food token, sacrifice a food, put +1/+1 on the guest. And when it leaves play, target opponent loses life equal to its power. Yeah, nice little way of dealing with something. And it's got menace as well, so it's an interesting little blocking problem. Brandywine Farmer, more food tokens when it comes into play and dies. And the farmer cultivates, so yeah, go then to get some extra lands in. The Fey Offering. Yeah, okay, maybe this one's a bit of a stretch in Lord of the Rings land, but you know, non-creature spell and a creature spell, you get a clue of food and a treasure. Can't really complain at that. Peregrine Took. If 1 or more tokens you would be created under your control, those tokens are created plus an additional food token. Stew the Conies. Deals damage you control. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control, and you get food. So a little bit more removal. Trudge Garden. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2. And if you do, create a 4/4 green fungus beast token with trample. Now, this means that your food you're sacrificing costs you 4, but it's not the end of the world. So you're gaining 3 life and getting a 4/4 for 4 mana. I think that's a reasonable deal if you can get the garden out. Calls for a crew fix. Yes, I know centaurs really didn't appear in Lord of the Rings, but yeah, another way of gaining life, and it's a bit of landfall, and it helps us play an extra one. So yeah, well, it doesn't help us play an extra one, but if we haven't got one, top of our library. Sorry. Merry Warden of Isengard also appears, just so we can do the other side of the whenever 1 or more artifacts enter the battlefield, you get Soldier. Another way of keeping yourself going. And Sam, loyal attendant, to partner with the adventurous version of Frodo, is also here. Activated abilities of foods you control cost 1 less to activate, which is really beneficial in this deck. And then Academy Manufacturer. If we're going to create food, we might as well create a treasure and a clue at the same time with a bit of luck. Anointed Procession and Parallel Lives do chuck the cost of this deck up a little bit, but they are here and they do have a benefit of doubling up the tokens we're producing. Bill the Pony, a sign of food, deals combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, but it's Bill the Pony. Can't have all the hobbits in without Bill. Eleanor Gardner is also in, enters the battlefield, create a food token. At the ending of your end step, if you sacrifice a food this turn, you may search the land library for a basic land card and put it onto battlefield tapped. We will be sacrificing a lot of foods. This is a nice way to get out our 12 basics we've got in the deck. I've also included the Master Chef. Now, probably controversial because at the end of the day, Bilbo killed all the trolls, if you remember, if you read the book. But he did encounter them, so stretching it big time. However, at the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equals the number of non-token creatures you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn, so you're going to get a whole load of food tokens, and then you can sack a food and target creature gains indestructible at the end of turn and tap it. Nice plan. Butterberry does the same thing, just stack them in the right order if you've got Gnome in play as well. You know, Gnome on the stack, then Butterberry, no food, Butterberry gives you the food token, and then all the ones from Gnome create. And then another one of the backup win conditions, Etherflux Reservoir. I mean, if we're trying to get to 111 to put everything into play, that is basically 2 activations of Etherflux Reservoir and you're still alive, so that's 2 opponents gone. So another way to hopefully win. Motivated Pony, Trample, Haste, attacking creatures get +1/+1 until the end of turn. If a food enters the battlefield and you'll control this turn, untap those creatures and they get an additional +2/+2. So it's a nice way of giving everything basically +3/+3 with the amount of food we'll be creating. Bootlegger Stash, I just put in. We all know that Bilbo had a bit of a stash when he got back to Bag End from the end of The Hobbit, and this kind of represents that. Plus the fact I wanted somewhere making some tokens with my lands, and this was pretty much the best one to get with the treasures. Approach to the Second Sun I've already mentioned as a backup win condition. The Great Henge, just, yeah, I'm playing a green deck. Great Henge is going to go in. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more complicated to cast because, you know, the hobbits are quite small unless we get Motivate Pony out and do it after we've done the bonus. But at the end of the day, more life, creatures get a little bit bigger and we get to do some card draw. I think it works for me. Banquet Guests, Affinity for Food. With the amount of food tokens we're having in play, and when I've tested this on my own, this has come up at quite easily a 5/5 by about turn 4 when I've had it on in the thing, and later on in the game it's just stupid. And it just comes into play, and it's just a big threat that has to be dealt with. And the fact that you can pay to sacrifice a food and make it indestructible really does mean it's going to stick around for a long time and cause your opponent some headaches. A bit like Farmer Cotton coming in. Enters the battlefield, create X/1/1 white halfling creature tokens and X food tokens. Yeah, how to create your own instant, well, sorcery speed army. Yeah, it's pretty good. But that's it. That's my little take on Bilbo Birthday Celebrant. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've stuck to the end of the video. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd love it if you could subscribe now and just leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. And if you think I've missed something out, leave me that as well. I'm always happy to update my decks. But hopefully you've hit the subscribe button. You'll come back and watch tomorrow's video. And I'll see you sometime soon. Take care. Thanks and bye.